Welcome into the Early Edge NFL Prop Show, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook brought to you in Vegas, born in Vegas. It's all the same. I'm Claudia Bellofatto in studio with Dave Richards. We have Sia Nejad and Alex PropStarz Selznick joining us as well. We went through our picks earlier this week. Today, it's a prop party, and we have a lot of props to bring you guys, so we're just going to get started off the top here. Intro with quarterbacks, passing props, week 2. And Dave, let's go with you first. I was told Uncle Dave. It's clearly my first time on the show with you guys. I was told to call him Uncle Dave. It feels a little strange.
No, you are my degenerate niece, and it's great to have you. What are we doing? Player props? Player props, but passing props.
Yeah, passing prop. Yeah,
I know it's a player prop show, not my first time here, but let's get started because I like this one a lot. It's Kyler Murray, and it's an under, Claudia, under 216.5 passing yards at -115 from our pals at BetMGM. And I look at this matchup against Carolina, and I think Arizona will be able to run all over them. This Panthers run defense got blasted last week by the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Cardinals can aim to do the same. And Murray was way under this line last week on 29 pass attempts with a gross 17.2% off-target rate. Arizona can win this one without Murray having to throw 35-plus times. Now, he went over this number 9 times last year. In 6 of the 9 games, he had to throw a lot, 35-plus pass attempts. Not happening here. I think it's going to be a tepid day throwing for Kyler Murray, maybe a decent day rushing for him. But he goes under 216.5 passing yards, -115.
One thing we know about Kyler Murray, there is no consistency. So, yeah, if he goes over one week, he probably goes under the next week. I know that Alex and Sia have one prop here for passing. Dave, you have 2. So, quick hitter on your second one.
Quick hitter on the second one is Michael Penix, and this is an over. We're going over 224.5 passing yards at -115. Again, the line from BetMGM. Now, I really prefer that he have not just Drake London, but Darnell Mooney as well. And Mooney comes into play in this matchup because Minnesota will play a good amount of man-to-man coverage. They'll also blitz a lot. That means that Penix has to get the ball out. But will it be as good if they don't have Andrew Van Ginkel running after Michael Penix? Will the secondary be as good if they're down 2 starters in the secondary? Jeff Okudah has a concussion. Isaiah Rodgers has an elbow injury. If those guys don't play, you can expect Drake London to feast, and you can expect Michael Penix to put the ball in the air quite a bit. Over 224.5. I might play this one up to like 230.5 because I think Penix will throw quite a bit.
Please don't jinx it, because I do have Drake London. He's healthy. I need him to show up for me. PropStarz, I see here you're on Justin Fields, and I'm with you. He looked great against a really tough pass rush with the Steelers. Tell me why you like the over 187 in the hook.
Yeah, I was delighted to see that we organically landed on the same quarterback prop here, and I'm backing Justin Fields, as you mentioned, over 187.5 passing yards. I was extremely impressed with the Week 1 performance by Justin Fields. He finished top 5 in EPA per dropback, DVOA, success rate. He was also top 5 in first read EPA. Just had a lot of command of that Jets offense, again, against an above-average Pittsburgh defense. Looked very comfortable under center here, and they were leading for the majority of that football game, which is unlikely to be the case this week as they face Buffalo. They're 6.5-point underdogs. We're likely to see some negative game script, and I think we'll see more than 22 passing attempts for Justin Fields, who, oh, by the way, cleared this on limited passing volume. So this is a disrespectful line, in my opinion. I thought we saw some really good things from Justin Fields. I expect to see more of that in Week 2. I like him to go over on this line.
Yeah, third highest yards per completion, 0 turnover-worthy throws, and, of course, that game script catching 6.5 there. All right, we wrap things up with a little Dak Prescott chat. Sia, what do you got?
Yeah, Claudia, Dave, PropStarz. I was thinking about a couple of different things for Dak Prescott. One was going to be his under in pass attempts. I ended up getting off of that one. I'm going to take his over 36.5 yards longest reception. We know if not for a couple of drops, not just by CeeDee Lamb. Jake Ferguson had some drops too, but if not for a couple of drops, he would have had a lot more passing yards. But what I love about Dak Prescott last week against the Eagles, a very formidable secondary, was that he took shots downfield. He was looking downfield. In a game that I think is going to be somewhat competitive. I think the Giants are going to have to stop the run. It's typically a conservative defense when it comes to the pass defense, but I do think they're going to have to step up and stop the run because Washington ran all over them in week 1. Now, granted, you got the Jaden Daniels factor there, but Bill Krosky-Merritt, he had a good day too. And Austin Eckler, he had a good day too. So long story short, the Giants are going to have to cheat up a little bit and stop the running game, stop Javonte Williams. Dak Prescott, just like last week, he's going to take some deep shots, and he's got the personnel to do it with CeeDee Lamb, with George Pickens, with Kevontae Turpin, who can take a screen yard, with even Jake Ferguson, who can get down the seam and have a huge day. So I like this prop with Dak Prescott. I think his yardage and his pass attempts might be limited, but he'll get here.
Dave's smiling. I don't know if that's good or that's bad. Do we agree with you?
I thought I saw you make kind of like a head tilt when you heard him talk about Jake Ferguson possibly having a completion of 37 yards or more. And so, I saw you do that, and I was like, I think the exact same thing. I like where Sia's head's at. I especially like it in terms of the passing volume for Dak Prescott. Sia said he doesn't expect him to have a lot of pass attempts and maybe not necessarily a ton of yards, but with the way that this Giants secondary, potentially, they should have let up more numbers last week. There's definitely a chance for Lamb or Pickens to come through with a big catch in this game.
And real quick, Claudia, they didn't create a big pass rush either. I mean, this is a formidable front four. It might have been just kind of one of those things, a bad week, but they didn't create a ton of pressure, even when they brought an extra guy. So I do think Dak, certainly there's going to be times where he's limited from a time standpoint, and he'll probably get the ball out fast, but there's going to be times where he's able to look downfield, and I think it's going to be quite successfully.
I want to touch on quickly with this. We're going to talk wide receivers later, but you mentioned CeeDee Lamb. A lot of people are bringing up the drops that he had, PropStarz, but when you have that high volume of targets and catches, the yards are there, you're going to have a few drops, right? Any concern there for you?
Zero concern. I was incredibly impressed with the usage rate, with the targets down the field. We saw very quickly that he is going to remain the engine of that passing offense. I think when it's all said and done, George Pickens will be a distant second as far as the target distribution is concerned. I was highly impressed with CeeDee Lamb despite the 2 drops. I think he's set for a potential monster performance. As we like to say, he has thermonuclear upside against the Giants here.
That's a lot of confidence in that guy right there. Like I said, we will talk wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs after the break. I do have one more prop for quarterback. I'm curious what you guys think on it. I'm big on game script, right? If you have a big underdog, you look for their playing from behind. You're going to see a lot of attempts, a lot of completions, lots of yards. I'm going with Joe Flacco. This Browns-Ravens game, over 35.5 pass attempts. Look at what he did last week. 45 against Cincinnati in a close game. Now he's catching 10.5. And it's not like this is anything new. We know he likes to throw the ball. He averaged just under 42 back in 2023 when they picked him up off the street with the Browns for the playoff run. He's able to stretch the defenses too. He used all of his weapons. 4 different guys had 8 targets. 8 targets. David Njoku had 6 targets, so I'm all over Joe Flacco. Dave, what do you think?
I like it a lot, and I certainly don't expect the Browns to be able to run the ball that effectively against the Baltimore Ravens. This Ravens run defense, I know they gave up some numbers to James Cook in week 1. That's James Cook. The Browns, their offensive line didn't impress me. I think that this game is going to fall into the hands of Joe Flacco, having to throw a lot against his former team. I think he can get close to 40 pass attempts.
See any thoughts on Joe Flacco?
Yeah, so I like this play, and I'm on your side of it. The only way it doesn't get there, in my opinion, and I do like a lot of these pieces. I do the Fantasy Football Today DFS show. We talked about this game a lot. The only problem I see is if the Ravens have a lot of long, sustained drives, which they're capable of doing with the short area passing game and the running game behind Derrick Henry and others. So that would be the only way I think you lose this, but I think you're on the right side of this.
How many of those long, sustained drives did the Bengals have last week against the Browns defense? I know the Ravens are the Ravens, and they definitely can have a couple. But I think the Browns defense looked pretty good in week number 1. So maybe there won't be quite as many. And we did see the Ravens have a couple of lightning strikes as well on those deep throws to Zay Flowers.
PropStarz, where do you land on the Joe Flacco of it all?
I don't have a strong take on Joe Flacco, but I have a deep cut for you guys. Those of you who've been watching this program for years, Uncle Dave mentioned James Cook, who he happened to ride in an elevator with, I believe, prior to the beginning of last season. And Uncle Dave was not particularly impressed with James Cook's stature, considering he is a running back in the NFL. And it was a big point of contention between Dave and I heading into the season.
And lo and behold, behold, James Cook survived the whole season, and he was awesome. I would expect him to be awesome again. Great first pick, Claudia.
Hey, thanks,
welcome
man.
to the party.
So Dave's not going to do scouting anytime soon?
No, Dave does a lot of scouting,
Okay,
but
all right.
maybe not so much when it comes to like hanging with football players for about 15 seconds.
That's fair enough. All right, those are our quarterback props. We've got running backs coming up next here on the Early Edge. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're just getting started. That guy, yeah, he's pretty good. I'm not betting the under. That's all I know. Welcome back to the Early Edge NFL Prop Show, brought to you by BetMGM. We've got PropStarz Sia, Dave in studio with me. I'm Claudia Bellofatto. We just went over the quarterback props. Now we're getting into the ground game with some running backs. And one name that we talked about all preseason was Ashton Jeanty. And one weekend, all we're talking about is Ashton Jeanty. PropStarz, what prop are you going with him?
Time to sound the alarms, guys. I am officially very concerned with what I've seen out of Ashton Jeanty. I'm fading him under 70.5 rushing yards heading into Monday Night Football. He just had a dismal week one performance. 19 carries for 38 yards. Just really lacked that sideline to sideline burst and explosiveness. His longest rush was 9 yards. If you remove that rush from his stat line, we're talking 18 carries for 29 yards. That is less than 2.0 yards per carry. And this carried over from the preseason as well, where he did not look good either. So I am concerned right now. Granted, again, making a big debut, a lot of high expectations on Ashton Jeanty. Certainly may have been a bit impatient, not allowing blocks to develop. But again, I am just not seeing it when we're looking at the sideline to sideline burst or explosiveness. So I think he's a fade at this number, even despite him getting the majority of those carries for the Raiders. Wouldn't shock me if Raheem Mostert is at least active for this game and maybe eats into some of those third down carries. But either way, I think he's a fade until proven differently.
Yeah, like you said, just 2 yards a carry, that's not explosive at all. He did get a touchdown. I think this offense, though, overall is meshing outside of him being a rookie addition to the roster. See, a quick hit on what you think of what Alex just said.
Yeah, and I think that line is on the move because people are appreciating the fact that it's on the move, like towards PropStarz bet. I think in some places it's even 67, 68.5. And I know PropStarz has been on this play all week. And I think people are appreciating the fact that anytime you get a prized running back that comes into the league that everybody thinks is going to be awesome, of course the line is going to be inflated by not just a little bit, by maybe a lot. Like this line probably should have opened at 63.5, and last week's line should have probably been 7 yards younger, if you will, as well, or lighter as well. So I just think this is a scenario where Proppy is taking advantage of the buzz about somebody and taking the under on an inflated line.
Dave, I see a small smile from
because
you. Which way do you go?
Who doesn't love a young line in player props, if not an older line, a geriatric line? I just
that works.
I'm making fun of Sia for that.
Yeah,
I'm only here for the terminology.
I'm both ways. I think Ashton Jeanty has a lot of potential. He obviously has the speed and he has the skill. We saw it in college. It might just take a while for him to break in, but this is a betting show. So we're all about getting around the market, ahead of the market. So we're under on him this week. See, I'll actually throw it right back to you. I know you're on Tony Pollard. You have an over for him.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get ahead of the market here because I don't think Tony Pollard is a sexy name to really anybody, including me, by the way, who has the Titans under in a pretty big way, alternate unders as well from the preseason. But what I liked about Tony Pollard last week against a very formidable Denver front four, front seven, was that he ran pretty hard. No, he wasn't super efficient, but he was also on the road in Denver. And I actually thought Tennessee acquitted themselves very well in that game. You turn around and you look at the Rams, well, they were very good against the run. Of course, Tony Pollard playing the Rams this week at home. The Rams were very good against the run last week. That was against Houston, maybe the worst, arguably the worst offensive line in the league. Now they have to travel to Tennessee. And when you look at Tony Pollard's carry prop, it's 17.5, and it's juiced to the over. So we're looking at 17 to 18 carries. He only needs to average 4 yards per carry. We know he's going to be a volume monster. It's young in the season, and I just don't think, from a usage standpoint, there's really not anybody that's going to get in the way. So again, he could be relatively inefficient and hit this number over 66.5 rushing yards.
And Cam Ward clearly is going to take some time to mesh with this offense as well, so maybe lean on your running back is not the worst thing to do. Any thoughts there, Dave, or shall we move on to a little Breece Hall and Javonte Williams?
I would like to move on. I don't really have a lean on the Pollard play. Could happen, though.
Sure. All right. Let's go with Javonte Williams first then. This is another rush attempts at minus 130. Nice price for 14 in the hook.
Well, actually, the price stinks. Minus 130 is a lot of juice to give.
Oh, it's not that bad. That's a prop that he should hit. So to me, that's good value.
It's not that bad if you believe in it, which I absolutely do, because I think Dallas thinks that Javonte Williams is their best running back, especially after last week. He dominated carries. Yep. Miles Sanders had a red zone fumble. There's no way that they can go to him and anywhere close to an even split. And I think this matchup actually helps Javonte Williams. Remember, game script is an important thing. Claudia, you talked about how it's important to you. I think we would all agree that the Cowboys can play with a lead in this game. And if they do that, that means a lot of carries and opportunities for Javonte Williams. The line is high. Not only is the juice high at minus 113, but it's over 14.5 rush attempts at minus 130. I think that he can get there. I think it could be somewhere between 15 and, dare I say, 21 rush attempts for Javonte Williams. It ain't going to be pretty. He's not an efficient running back, but he's all the Cowboys have. And by the way, that offensive line I thought looked pretty good for the Cowboys against Philadelphia in week 1. So I'm taking the over 14.5 rush attempts at minus 130.
Now, Uncle Dave, if you're saying there's going to be 20 plus attempts and we're getting 14 in a hook, minus 130 is good value, sir.
I suppose so, but no one likes to put that kind of juice up or more than that. So we always try and find plays that don't have that much juice to them. Listen, every dollar counts when we make these bets.
Fair.
So you don't want to go crazy betting a lot of minus 130s and higher from week to week.
PropStarz?
I would just also offer that the Giants' run defense graded extremely poorly in week 1. So I certainly view this as a favorable matchup for Javonte Williams, who I agree, and similar to Tony Pollard, not necessarily sexy picks, but these were guys that receive, significant workloads and are slated to or poised to heading into week 2. So again, oftentimes with props, we're speculating and it's a volume-based game. And I certainly think that both of these running backs are the guys in their backfield heading into this week.
When the Giants lost Micah McFadden at linebacker, their replacement was out of position on like every single run that Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt had last week. I'm counting on that helping Javonte Williams, but it's not necessarily helping him with the carries. It should just encourage the Cowboys to let him run the ball. Let Javonte cook.
All right, say market let Breece Hall cook. It looks like he's like 13.5. Now we get the value at plus 110.
And originally I saw that line, Claudia, and I was like, ooh, something's wrong here. We shouldn't be getting it. But Ed Oliver got ruled out for the Buffalo Bills. He's their best defensive tackle. And without him, this run defense was terrible last year, terrible in the past. And I don't think they're going to be particularly good. They weren't good against Derrick Henry, and that's Derrick Henry. But this Bills defense, even on paper, just doesn't look quite as strong as it did once upon a time. So I think the Jets want to run the football a lot. We saw that last week. Breece Hall, 19 carries in a competitive game against the Steelers. This isn't a defense that's as good as the Steelers on the ground. I think Breece Hall gets fed a little bit. Does he get 19 carries? No, I don't think so. But does he get 14, 15, maybe 16? I do think so. And the plus money, a big, big part of why I love this one. Breece Hall, over 13.5 rush attempts.
PropStarz?
Breece Hall was remarkably better than Braylon Allen last week, and he certainly deserves to get the lion's share of those carries. By far their most dynamic weapon in the backfield. And again, that Ed Oliver loss is significant for Buffalo. I do think that's a big boost, not only to Breece Hall, but also Claudia, your and I, Justin Fields play as well. I think that'll give Justin Fields more time in the pocket, as we know he likes to hang on to the football for a long time. So I think that is a big loss for Buffalo's defense.
See, I want to come to you quickly and what you think about my James Conner prop. I'm going to go over 64 in the hook, minus 115. Cardinals laying 6.5 in this spot. It's a good bounce back because I know you look at Conner's stats last week. They didn't jump off the page. But now he's up against a squad, I should say, that had the worst run defense last year, and they didn't show us anything different in week 1. Travis Etienne absolutely ate, averaged almost 9 yards a carry, put up over 140. And on top of that, they have some defensive injuries. We have that game script in our favor here. What do you think, Sia, about James Conner over on rush yards?
Claudia, I really like this play. It's a play I was going to put in before this show anyway, and I still might over at SportsLine. Listen, I don't think he looked particularly explosive last week, but this is a different ball game at home against Carolina. So I think he's going to get just enough volume. I think the fear, of course, is Trey Benson eating into it. But the way this game is probably going to go, they're both going to get their work. And for the record, if you want to take Trey Benson's over and James Conner's over, I don't mind that either. Trey Benson in that 33 to 34.5 range.
Dave, are you worried at all about Trey Benson? PropStarz, we'll get to you in a sec, eating up some of those carries.
The only thing that worried me from last week was that James Conner played 2/3 of the snaps. And so the role that used to go to Amari DiMercato last year went to Trey Benson, and Benson does have an explosive element to his run game. That being said, this ties in nicely with my Kyler Murray under passing yards prop. So I'm a big fan of this correlated play.
Sionk, Alex.
Props to the young here. But yeah, you got to also look at Trey Benson. The majority of his production came on a single run. So I think it's a little early to anoint Trey Benson as someone who's going to significantly eat into James Conner's workload. So I do like this as well.
All right, plenty, I can't talk today, but it's all right. We'll get there. Plenty of rushing props on the board. We've got quarterbacks, running backs. Now we're going to get into tight ends and wide receivers. Lots to choose from here on the Early Edge. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Early Edge. We're getting into props. It's a prop party with the tight ends and wide receivers this time around. Dave in studio with me, PropStarz Sia. I'm Claudia. Sia, I'm going to go to you first. We've got a nice little matchup here with the Bengals. Brenton Strange over 32.5 receiving yards. You like the tight end for the Jags. Tell us why.
Well, first of all, I'm trying to get pieces of this game, but a lot of these lines are inflated for proper reason. This is a very high total. I don't want to take Jamar Chase over 86.5, but although I think that probably is going to hit. We see the passing line for Joe Burrow. That's super inflated. I'm going to go with Brenton Strange because I have a feeling he's going to be the second or third best target on a trailing team. We saw him last week. He led the team in yardage, which honestly is an anomaly, but his usage was pretty incredible. And just dating back to the preseason, we see Brenton Strange is a guy that Trevor Lawrence really likes. Obviously, Brian Thomas Jr. is going to get his yards, maybe Travis Hunter a little bit, but I do think Brenton Strange is in line for maybe 5 or 6 targets in this one. I like his over receptions, 3.5, but I'm going to go with his yardage over 32.5 here. Again, I think in a trailing game script, he's going to be a nice comfy blanket for a very below average quarterback who I don't like backing in any capacity, but I'm willing to do it here because this is a very low number.
Very below average quarterback. Wow.
Very below average, which I've been saying since his days at Clemson.
Not like
by the
way
way.
Above average, but
We've already seen a pick from him against a very weak secondary, so
that's a good
I think
point.
we have some issues with Trevor Lawrence. Great hair, though. Great hair.
He has awesome hair.
All right, we got a lot of props to run through with you, PropStarz. JSN over 5.5 catches you have first against a tough secondary, but he is clearly the number one on that squad there.
Yeah, extremely impressed with JSN's week 1 debut. I think you can make a strong argument that of every wide receiver in the NFL, he had the best receiver profile. What I mean by that is if we look at the advanced metrics, he was first in essentially every single category. Let's look at it. Yards per route run, air yard share, targets per route run, 97th percentile in first read target rate. He was just absolutely incredible. Splash zone targets. If you cut his numbers in half week 1, they would still be elite. He is the clear engine of that Seahawks passing attack. So I'm going to take a volume-based approach here and take his receptions over 5.5. We saw Pittsburgh's defense last week struggled. The pass defense struggled against the Jets and company. I think we can see once again JSN have a big game. We saw Garrett Wilson, who is a first read target, obviously, and the engine of that Jets passing offense, have a big game. So I think JSN is going to continue his momentum. And again, even if he does tail off because these numbers aren't sustainable, he's more than capable of getting 6 receptions here.
Why the giggle, Dave?
I remember people being concerned before the season started about Cooper Kupp having some sort of impact on Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think week one, it made me laugh to think about because Cooper Kupp was such a non-factor in week one. This is a tricky matchup, though. I don't know how good or bad the Steelers' pass defense is. But that being said, 6 catches is something we should expect at minimum from JSN every single week.
Sia, you agree?
I totally agree. JSN won me a lot of money in DFS last week. He's an absolute monster, and Sam Darnold's probably going to be staring him down all game, all season. I like this play. I like the volume-based approach as well because I think in the short area, that's where he's likely to get worked.
I was going to say a safety blanket. We usually say that for tight ends, but that can be the case for a receiver like that. Speaking of tight ends, Tyler Warren, the star first rounder for the Colts. We kind of knew that he would be a hot player. And PropStarz, you're going over on him. 43.5 receiving yards at -115. I kind of know why, but tell us.
Claudia, I'll be the first to admit I did not know Tyler Warren was going to be this good, or certainly not utilized in the fashion that he was. What an incredible week one debut that was for Tyler Warren. Just absolutely phenomenal usage. Incredible. 29% first read target rate. That is an elite number for a wide receiver, much less a tight end. And he is the new RPO king. I just love the way that he was deployed all over the field for the Colts. I think Tyler Warren is set for a Brock Bowers-esque first rookie season here. I think he's going to catch 100-plus passes and go over 1,000 yards here. So we're getting a big discount. This line's going to regularly be fluctuating between 65 and 75 before the season ends. So get in now on Tyler Warren, who is every bit as good as advertised. The usage is incredible. Yes, this is a difficult matchup against the Broncos, but I have a lot of confidence considering he's the tight end, and that's the most difficult position of the field to cover is short and intermediate parts in the middle of the field. So Tyler Warren is going to feast even against an elite Broncos defense. His utilization was absolutely off the charts, an incredibly impressive performance. I'm also buying shares of him to an offensive rookie of the year. You can get him at plus 650. These odds will significantly shorten after he has another big game in week 2.
Dave looked to me, by the way, when we had the graphics up and said, I knew. Sure you did, Dave. I'm kidding. I did too. He was a scouting report was great on Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren. Sia did too.
I'm just
I've been talking about him since March, Claudia. Come on.
Dave, let me ask you this then. Because Tyler Warren was the clear number one option there, I was leaning under on Michael Pittman Jr. His number's at 48.5, and I know that he did well, but it was a terrible defense, and he didn't have the majority of those targets. And now he has possibly shadow coverage by Pat Surtain. I feel like this is a tough matchup. Also, when it comes down to the quarterback situation, Danny Dimes did look good, but he also faced the third lowest pressure rate. We saw Cam Ward have one of the highest against his squad. I know we're high on Tyler Warren. I know you're high on Tyler Warren. Does that mean you're leaning under on Michael Pittman?
I like the way you're leaning on it, Claudia. That would be the bet that I would make. It's worth a sprinkle on that just because of Surtain. That's the biggest factor of all. And the reason why the Dolphins didn't get a lot of pressure is because Daniel Jones got the ball out fast. He was one of about 7 quarterbacks last week that averaged less than 2.5 seconds per pass attempt. So that's something that I think absolutely plays into the factor here. And if the Broncos end up leading this game in the second half, I don't know if they can stick to a short area passing game in Indianapolis. They might have to because he's not going to be able to attack downfield, certainly if Surtain is throwing the blanket all over Michael Pittman.
And Dave, I know you have 2 of your own. Quickly, Brian Thomas Jr. PropStarz. What do you got for us there?
Yeah, I'm buying low on Brian Thomas Jr. here. I got this out to our subscribers at 66.5 receiving yards. Massive discount coming after that week 1 dud. And I want to say not all duds are created equal. If we look at that game 1, it was very funky. First off, we had the big delay in the middle of the game. That was weird. And then we know the Panthers offered 0 resistance as well. So really we didn't need to see the Jaguars continue to throw the ball down the field. But I was encouraged. 100% route participation for Brian Thomas Jr. 19 first read target rate. Those are very, very healthy numbers. So they were utilizing him and trying to get him the football, which will be the case in what is likely to be a much more passer-friendly environment heading into a potential shootout. This game has the highest projected total on week 2's slate. We know the Bengals have a very leaky secondary here. I think the Bengals Bengals will also push Jacksonville. So I love getting a big discount on Brian Thomas Jr. I am not remotely discouraged by the week 1 dud whatsoever. I think he has triple-digit upside. I think he makes a huge statement in week 2. I'll also be hammering his alt lines to go over 100 and 110 yards as well.
I'd like to know if Sia agrees with that pick, given the very below-average quarterback.
I mean, listen, I would agree if Mac Jones was the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But listen, I think, from a volume standpoint, PropStarz is right. I do not believe in Trevor, but that doesn't mean a superstar receiver like BTJ can't get there.
You know what I was trying to do, Claudia?
Stir the pot.
I was fishing for a showdown between Sia and Proppy. See maybe if they could go head-to-head on a player prop, but Sia wasn't biting.
Not biting.
All right, Dave, I know you have 2 picks of your own. One after my heart, the tight end for the Pats, my squad, Hunter Henry. You're going over on receptions, which is no shocker. He was their best player last season, one of the most consistent players out there, just 4 of 8 in week 1, but 66 yards. What's your approach to this week? I
like the over on the receptions. It's 3.5. It's plus money at 117. And Claudia, you know as well as everybody, they're taking on the Dolphins. And it's usually been a house of horrors for the Patriots when they come to South Florida. And you think, if they were never good when they came to South Florida with Tom Brady, how are they going to be good with Drake May? And the answer is simple. The Dolphins stink. On defense, they've got a good pass rush. They try and blitz a lot. If Drake May's getting the ball out fast, or even if he's just mobile out of the pocket, he's going to be able to complete passes downfield. I don't think they have the linebackers that can run with Hunter Henry, which is saying something because Hunter Henry is not a fast man, but he is a big man with a big catch radius. And I think if all we're asking for is 4 receptions, I think he can come through with that, and it's plus money as well. So I am a big fan of Hunter Henry over 3.5 receptions.
PropStarz, go ahead. Yeah.
I gave this a good look. I do agree regarding Hunter Henry. He has very strong chemistry with Drake May. That being said, I do think there is an expanded role there still for other Patriots pass catchers to potentially eat into some of that target share for Hunter Henry. I also look at this matchup against the Dolphins. I think we're going to see the Patriots run the football effectively. I don't know how much. Ultimately, I didn't think there was going to be potentially enough passing volume for me to comfortably back Hunter Henry, who I do like. It is a good matchup. And again, I was encouraged by the week 1 performance. Certainly has good chemistry with Drake May. He looks to him in tough situations on 3rd down. But I ultimately shied away because I just thought there would be a lack of passing volume in this game environment.
But do you like the under, Proppy?
I do like the under enough to give you a showdown. Let's get our feet wet here, Dave.
Do we have time for a showdown? Yeah.
The showdown
we're
is
doing
going
a
to
showdown.
happen.
Okay.
Do we have music though? I don't.
Claudia's new, and a lot of people might be.
Sia, come on, sing with me.
Sing it, Sia.
I don't
I'm
know
not
what it
singing
is.
it. You don't want that. Nobody at home wants that.
Showdown. Yeah, I should.
Dave and I have had a
That's not what I should be doing. I apologize for that. But a showdown is a legit bet that we make between friends here on the show. We will keep track, and obviously you'll know who is better between me and Proppy Doodle Doo when it came to Hunter Henry and how many receptions he has.
Historically, Dave and I have had a handful of showdowns. I could talk about what my record is lifetime versus Dave, but I won't hang him out to dry publicly this early in the season. I'll let the results speak for themselves. I will say they used to be monetary bets, but we started to be a little bit more creative. And Dave, you will recall, I did send you some Chicago deep dish pizzas the last time that I lost a bet to you.
No, the last 2 times you lost a bet to me, I believe I was very generous. And I said, you know what? Use it for your own research. But if you're going to talk about our history, then guess what? My Venmo will be open when Hunter Henry hits 4 or 5 catches in this game. Thank you.
We got to go to break, but just an over-under, Sia. Break this even for us. Over-under on Hunter Henry.
I like tight ends that are comfy targets for quarterbacks, even with a plethora of other pass catchers. Give me the over.
That's
Give me
an
4
over.
That's a win.
Hey, we're doing this all season long. We'll have plenty of showdowns. Stick with us for the early edge. Up next, we are talking some futures, MVP update, any value on the board, all that next. Welcome back back to the Early Edge Prop Show. We've got Dave, PropStarz, Sia, and Claudia with you. Futures are interesting week 2 because you would think there's not a ton of movement, but you would be surprised on some of them. PropStarz, you're the first guy we go to when it comes to this futures market. I want to bring up MVP. This is a time where you actually can buy low on some big names like Patrick Mahomes and a guy like Justin Herbert, who that's all everybody was talking about on Sunday. And then, of course, we had Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football. And now he's all the way down the board. So where is the value on the board for you when it comes to MVP?
Yeah, I want to highlight a guy at the bottom of this list, and that's Baker Mayfield. And I like this for a variety of reasons. Heading into the season, I did have a pretty significant position on him to win MVP at plus 3,800 here. The odds have shortened, and it makes sense. Again, big week 1 performance. They got to win. Something else that I really like here is that Tampa Bay's win total preseason was 9.5. That has since moved up to 10.5 after that week 1 performance. I truly think Baker had an MVP caliber season last year. If we look at the raw numbers, they were phenomenal. Over 40 touchdown passes, 4,500 passing yards. If you couple that with a 12-13 win season, which I certainly think was within the range of outcomes for this Tampa Bay team, they have a soft schedule and they're in a very soft division. Baker can certainly win this award, in my opinion. I think he provides tremendous value, and I think we're going to see these odds shorten as the season progresses.
Sia, I want to go to you on this. We saw Josh Allen at the top there, which is no surprise after that massive comeback win against the Ravens. But Jordan Love, who we saw go off last night after a great week 1 at some shops as high as 9-1, even after last night, after week 1, he had the second best QBR behind Lamar and Jalen Hurts. Where do you see value on this board?
Yeah, Jordan Love is interesting. I mean, if you're taking that at plus 850, I wouldn't argue too much with you just because of where he is in the NFC as opposed to the AFC and what he can and his team can do. Problem is you're buying him definitely at the very, very top of the market. I actually agree. I mean, Dak Prescott's interesting to me. I don't think that's going to happen. But Baker Mayfield, I just have to agree with PropStarz here because, you know, Claudia, you just talked about how these can fluctuate game to game. And we just saw what happened with Jordan Love on Thursday Night Football. Well, on Monday Night Football, Baker gets the Texans in Houston, and they're a 2.5-point dog. And if he beats that team on the road, all of a sudden that 30-1 becomes maybe 20-1, depending on the performance, 22-1 at worst. And then you got the factor of what everything PropStarz said about the division and the schedule, but that then you add in the factor that Godwin is already practicing, might be back in a few weeks, and now you've got Evans, you've got Godwin, you've got Ibuka, you've got Cade Otton and Bucky Irving in the backfield. I think that number gets short enough to consider if PropStarz is right about them just running roughshod through their schedule.
Dave, thoughts on Baker or somebody else on that?
So the thoughts on Baker are that his offensive line is going to get better once Tristan Wirfs comes back. His receiving core is going to get better once Chris Godwin comes back. And you saw him play like an MVP. Those touchdown throws to Emeka Ibuka in week 1 were beautiful. They were perfect. You know that he's got the potential to keep doing that again. But I want to look at that MVP screen one more time if I could, because there was a name in between Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield that I liked a lot, although the odds aren't super duper. But keep an eye on Justin Herbert at plus 1,400 because he played like an MVP in week 1. And all he did was take down the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs. They've basically been AFC champions every year since 2018, save for one. That's a big accomplishment. And I think that offense is well coached. I think they've got plenty of weapons. I think he's well coached. And Justin Herbert, if you can see that line move to maybe even just a little bit, like plus 1,600, plus 1,700, I would put a double sprinkle on that. I think he can end up being a really good MVP candidate.
I think that number on Justin Herbert after that performance, people were saying on ESPN and everywhere else, this is the best offense in the NFL, the Chargers, which was very overdramatic after 1 week. But there was so much hype around him that I was shocked to see that long of a number. But Patrick Mahomes, anybody? What was it, 10-1?
About that.
Nah, we're buying the dip. Nobody wants to buy the dip, Sia.
No, well, first of all, I think Kansas City is going to lose to Philly, okay? And just going on the Justin Herbert thing, at 14-1, if that happens, then the Chargers are very legitimate to potentially win the AFC West. Yep. If they win the AFC West, Justin Herbert's MVP candidacy, after finally knocking off the giant that is Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid, all of a sudden he becomes a very good fit for the MVP.
Dave, did you have thoughts on that?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
gave him.
PropStarz. Yeah.
I would agree with Sia here. I think out of all the names besides Baker, I do think Justin Herbert, as Dave and Sia both mentioned, has some value here. As far as Patrick Mahomes' stock is concerned, voter exhaustion is a very real thing. And if we look at his statistics when he won his previous MVP awards, he's going to have to at least be within that range. And it's just not going to happen this year. It's very unlikely. Couple that with the fact that it's unlikely the Chiefs are going to win another 13, 14 plus games. So if there's a name I'm avoiding on that list, it is Patrick Mahomes.
Feels nice. As a Patriots fan, I'm like, why does everyone hate the Patriots? Well, I hate the Chiefs now, so I get it. All right, those are some futures, and we'll be doing this all season long. We'll get into offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. But for today, all we have time for is best bets, and that's coming up next after this break on The Early Edge. It's about that time we get into best bets. But before we do that for week 2, a look on week 1. Dave was begging. He's like, please look how good I did. And you're right, Dave, 4-2. You're ahead. PropStarz 3-4. Sia 1-3. But hey, guess what? It's week 2. There's a chance for you to come out on top. Let's get into our best bets for week 2. And Uncle Dave was telling me that there is a different way you guys do best bets. We're not choosing our own. We're choosing each other. So, Uncle Dave, you go first.
I loved Proppy's prop on Jackson Smith and Jigba and over 5.5 catches. I think Seattle will be trailing. There's questions about that Seattle run game, by the way. I think Zach Charbonnet might be the best running back that they've got right now. But that doesn't matter for this prop. I think JSN is going to continue to see a lot of catches. Over 5.5, the juice isn't that bad. It's a fantastic pick.
PropStarz, anything nice to say about Dave's picks or maybe me or Sia's?
Well, typically I'm not this diplomatic, and I do love my Uncle Dave. I do really like that over 13.5 rushing attempts from Breece Hall. I think that's a great look. Obviously, I love your Justin Fields look, Claudia, and I love Sia's Dak Prescott longest reception as well. So I know I need to give 1, but I'm going to give 3.
You're supposed to give 1.
You're cheating,
Give
so
1.
pick 1.
All right, let's go Sia.
Okay.
Cousin
All right.
Sia.
Let's go. Sia, what do you got?
I mean, I'm the only one that didn't yell at him, so of course he's going to go with my pick. I do want the record to reflect, if you're a SportsLine member, I've hit my 2 plays since that 1-3 start. So everything's looking okay, but I got to do well on this prop show. So I like the JSN one, of course, but we've already given that one out. I'm going to go with James Conner. Claudia, I told you I might even put this in myself. I kind of like Trey Benson as well. I think they're going to run the ball over 64.5. That's my favorite one.
Okay, sweet. I'm trying to look at all of your plays. I truly like all of them. I like the Tyler Warren a lot, but I think Hunter Henry, and I'm not being biased, I just think he is. I always say he's the safety blanket. He made me a lot of money last year, really in the year prior. It doesn't matter. What? I thought that was...
I'm an action junkie, Claudia, so if you want to do a double showdown, I am more than game.
Wow.
So if you want to get your toes wet in the water, it's warm, Claudia. Come on in. You and Uncle Dave versus me. We each have our own individual bets against each other. Why don't we do it first time ever?
Let's do it. What are we betting here?
$25,000 each.
I'll get back to you.
We're betting a C note, a Benjamin Franklin, a C note.
It's not even close to that much. Come on.
How about we have to bake each other cookies? You guys have to
I don't know.
make me cookies.
Or we can pick each other's outfits, maybe.
Why, everybody out there, if you're watching, let us know what we should do.
Put it in the comments.
Reach out, put it in the comments. What should the bet be for Hunter Henry? He better pull through. By the way, Pats fans out there, Christian Gonzalez is officially ruled out, which definitely is going to hurt that secondary. Very good for Miami props, though, right, guys?
Maybe.
I did not like what I saw from the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are live to finish with the worst record in the NFL. And if we're going to pat ourselves on the back heading into this season, again, I'm heavily invested in the futures markets. My single biggest position was the Miami Dolphins under 8.5 wins. Again, it's a long season, long way to go, but things do not look good in South Florida.
How often do they have player-only meetings before week 2?
Seriously. See, your concern level on Miami.
Very high, but my concern level for Tyreek Hill isn't necessarily for this week. I wouldn't mind speculating on his over, some ladder, or playing him in DFS. By the way, Little Birdie told me you like Hollywood Brown over 5.5 receptions. I like that as well, Claudia.
Okay, let's go, and you can find that bet and much more at SportsLine. We went through a lot today, but there's plenty more, and you'll see those records live and in person. You can check us out here on the Early Edge every day, Monday through Friday. And I was told we have to say something at the end of each show. I think it's let's hit it big. Thanks for hanging out with us.